us this afternoon. My name's Gloria Visser-Niven, and I'm the Director of Communications with the Faculty of Science. I just want to say a real big thank you to all of you for coming and listening to us this afternoon to find out more about how our data science and analytics programs may be just right for you. We know the demand for digitally skilled professionals is rapidly increasing in Canada, and that more than 2 million Canadians will be working in the digital economy by 2023. And that's one of the reasons why the Faculty of Science has launched postgraduate programs in data science and analytics. I do want to take a moment before we formally start our session today and acknowledge the traditional lands of the Blackfoot and the people of the Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta. The city of Calgary is also home to Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. Well, this afternoon, I am so pleased to connect you all with our data science and analytics program directors, Jim Stallard and Usman Alim. As well, we have Tyler Williamson, Zara Shakari, and Alberto Neto-Laguirre from the Cummings School of Medicine, and Ray Patterson from the Haskayne School of Business joining us. We also have our admissions experts, Carrie Thacker and Stephanie Patterson. And we are so pleased that our alumni are also able to join us this afternoon. A special and a warm welcome to Jeremy Hansen, Mitchell Rath, and Tim Cruz. So you can see the agenda up on our screen right now. We have it broken up into three areas. A quick presentation from Jim and Usman, a panel discussion with our alumni, and then at the very end, we are going to open it up to you to have all your questions answered. We do have a little bit of housekeeping, so I do want to remind you that your microphones will automatically be muted to ensure that our guest speakers are going to be the ones that you can hear. We are also anticipating a number of questions, and we really want to make sure that you can add that to the chat area. So please, you can see the information on how we are going to do our chat section in the next slide. Our admissions team, Stephanie and Carrie, will be monitoring the chat. They'll either answer your questions directly, or at the end, they will field that question to the appropriate person. We also want to make a special note, if you have questions regarding your specific circumstances, just email us. You can find the email there at datascience@ucalgary.ca. Okay, well, enough of me now. I would really like to hand the session over to Jim Stallard and Usman Alim as they walk us through a little bit more about the program and what you can expect. Take it away, Jim and Usman.
Well, thank you for the introduction, Gloria. Good afternoon, everybody. We are all happy that you could join us. So in the next 5-10 minutes, Usman and myself are going to give you a brief flyover of the program. So this is a professional graduate program, which requires admittance to the graduate school. Specifics about that will be given a little later. The structure of the program is a laddering structure, so that as you can see, there is a certificate. There are 4 courses in the certificate. The 4 courses are equally split between computer science, knowledge and tools, and statistical methodologies. Once you have, or once somebody has completed the certificate, that is a launch pad that takes you up to the next tier. There are 3 different specializations of the diploma. There's a data science specialization, as you can see. There's a specialization in business analytics, and there's a specialization in health data science and biostatistics. What's the difference between the 3 specializations? They are domain specific. We do have some recent graduates that will be providing a little more context into what they have, what they've achieved, and the different learning outcomes that they picked up in going through each of the specializations. So with respect to the certificate, we break out the courses in couples. The first 6 weeks of the term, we run data 601 and 602. Then the last 6 weeks of the term, we run data 603 and 604, excuse me, again in concert. I'll talk a little bit about data 602 and data 603 while I've got the mic. Data 602 introduces you to modeling. So we look at the creation and the application of various probability models that leads into the into an introduction into supervised learning, creating models of data, how we can use training data to create models, revise models, and use those models for prediction. That knowledge is then carried through into data 603, where there is a deeper emphasis on supervised learning. So you're seeing more advanced statistical modeling from observational data and data through random sampling. That's about half of the course. The other half of data 603 evolves around modeling of data that's been carefully collected through one of many various experimental designs.
Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Osman Alim. I'll talk about the other two courses in the certificate, Data 601 and Data 604. So these are more computer science focused courses. They deal more with the management, processing, visualization, and some exploratory data analysis aspect of your data science workflows. So in Data 601, when you come in, it will be 601 and 602 are the first set of courses that you will take. 601 will, if you're coming from a different programming background, it will introduce you to Python, and really you'll be developing your Python programming skills in the context of data manipulation, working really with tabular data. So mostly this course focuses on tabular data in CSV formats, how to manage it, how to process it, and explore it via visualizations to build hypotheses that you can subsequently test in your statistical courses. Data 604 will give you a chance to work more with data in the back end, so data that resides in databases. It will introduce you to the different data organization and databases that are available to you for both structured and unstructured types of data. So in 601, you'll be mostly working with data sets that reside on your computer. You'll be bringing in data over to your computer. But in 604, you'll be able to work with data directly from servers. So you'll be able to pull in data sets or subsets of data sets or views of data sets that you're interested in working with by executing queries on this data set. So only the relevant portion of this data is brought over to your computer analysis, right? So that's the big data aspect of this course. Okay, and I guess while I have the mic, I will also introduce you to a couple of courses in the core data science diploma specialization. So here it's in a similar format, with 4 courses, with 2 courses focusing more on the data processing visualization side of things, and 2 additional courses focusing more on statistical analysis and machine learning. So when you come in, you'll be taking in Data 605, which will give you a chance to explore different of data sets. So not just tabular data sets or numeric types of data, but it'll expose you to textual data, or data that is very unstructured, such as email or Twitter feeds and things like that. It will also give you exposure to some higher level tools that you can grind your teeth on in data science workflows. So these are tools like Tableau, RapidMiner, that you can also, you'll get a chance to kind of hook different pieces in your data science workflows. And, you have the Python knowledge to process data in the backend, but there is certain things that higher level tools such as Tableau are really good at. So how do you interface between the two? This is where Data 605 will give you a chance to explore that side of data analysis. Data 608 delves a little bit more into the application development. So when you're looking at production data science applications, there are sort of this end-to-end applications where data is coming in from databases. It goes through various analysis, visualization workflows, and you're building some sort of an end product for you, for the users. So Data 608 will give you a chance to explore all of the processing, all of the wheels that need to go into this pipeline to put all of these pieces together. So specifically, it really gives you a chance to explore cloud technologies that are involved in data science workflows. Jim?
Oh, thank you. See through data 609 environment. In 606, you're introduced to more advanced statistical modeling, supervised, use more advanced resampling methods, regression trees, a little bit more in the machine learning aspect, prediction on non-numerical types of data. In data 607, so you move from 606 to 607, where you're introduced to more machine learning in the sense that you see both unsupervised learning and supervised learning. Unsupervised learning in terms of non-parametric models, so you are exposed to things like k-means clustering, k-nearest neighbors as a different means to predict outcomes. Then that's, and I can't say specifically what types of tools are used. I believe that course is somewhat of a mix between using Python and R. I don't know if it's an equal distribution, but I think you're diving into both pools in that particular course. So, next slide.
Okay, so this is our business analytics diploma specialization, and I believe we have Dr. Ray Patterson from the Haskins School of Business.
Hi.
Invite him to give you a little bit more information about the business analytics specialization.
Yes, the 4 courses in the business analytics specialization are meant to be alternatives to the data science version of the diploma. A lot of the tools that we present in the business analytics specialization are meant to be identical to what you would find in the data science and the health bioinformatics diplomas. But there's also the components that we add in that are business specific. So, for example, in the data 614, advanced data analytics. So there would be a lot of emphasis on the business AI, artificial intelligence use of those tools. And in data 612 and decision analytics, you're going to have a lot of emphasis on business tools that are specific in the business environment. So amazingly enough, in that course, we include Excel because unfortunately or unfortunately, 95% or 90% of businesses focus on or use Excel. So we have to cover that and we do cover that in the business analytics, but it's an advanced version of that. And so I think that people can ask specific questions if they have. So Usman, is there anything specific that I've missed?
Well, yeah. I think we'll move on in later on when we're talking about the different specializations and hearing from alumni. At that time, we'll have a further chance to differentiate between the different specializations.
Perfect. I'll put myself back on mute.
All right. And all right, so the next specialization we have is the health data science and biostatistics. And we have our colleagues from the the Cummings School of Medicine who will be talking about this. Can I invite maybe Zara to get started?
Yeah, so I'm Zara. I will go through the machine learning course and the data visualization course in the health data science diploma program. For the main focus of the machine learning course in this program would be on supervised and unsupervised learning techniques. And we will cover, in these two courses, the full life cycle of data cleaning, data collection, data preparation, and at the end, data modeling will be covered. By data cleaning, we mean students will be exposed to like techniques to address missing data, imbalanced data sets. That's a very, very big problem in all data science projects, specifically in the health data science context. For the supervised learning, students will be exposed to basic and simple machine learning techniques like linear regression, logistic regression, and then they will be exposed to decision-based techniques, random forest, XGBoost, decision trees, and time series data analysis or sequential data analysis techniques, LSTM, which is a subset of deep learning and neural nets methods. And also they will be exposed to some advanced machine learning techniques like reinforcement learning, which is mainly developed for real-time and interactive environments. Like for my series started talking, sorry. For game development projects, like when you have an agent that's interacting with an environment, there have been some applications of reinforcement learning in health data science, and these techniques also will be covered in this course. For the data visualization course, the main focus would be on data visualization tools, including Tableau, R and Python libraries that are designed specifically for data visualization. We will cover different techniques like geospatial visualization, time series data visualization, hierarchical data visualization, and some cool techniques including storytelling, dashboard development in the context of health data science. For these two courses, the main data sets that will be used are mainly health data sets. And we try to use real world data sets as much as possible to make sure that we address most of the concerns and problems available in these types of data sets. And also the other topic that's covered in the data visualization course is social media analysis, including natural language processing, data collection, and data cleaning of social media data. Including Twitter, Reddit, Amazon reviews, and online websites. And also students will learn about sentiment analysis, analyzing the reviews on social media, if they are positive, negative, about drug reactions or post-marketing surveillance of some of the health services. And they also at the end they will learn about web scraping, collecting data. If they don't have enough data about the context, they can scrape the data from different websites to improve the richness of their data sets.
Okay, so I'm Alberto Antelaguirre. I will tell you a little bit about big data in health and advanced statistical modeling. I will start with big data in health. That is usually run by Dr. Robin Walker. Many of the major health data that exist already in Alberta and Canada are usually explored within this course. The idea is to have hands-on experience, and students usually learn to work with health databases such as administrative health data, registries, wearable genomic data, some primary care, and some other databases. They also are going to be dealing with issues that have to do with access, confidentiality, privacy, data stewardship. This is all a part of what the students get to do. They have opportunities to apply for access to such a large databases. And some of the basic research methods and epidemiological studies are explored also as part of the foundation. You do get to do a lot of work in class. Part of the epidemiological basis also is overlapping within advanced statistical modeling, because within biostatistics and health data modeling, that's one of the big things, right? Having the full background epidemiological view, which is the content, what will be a little bit of the difference in the content from the business and other type of just data science. And so in the advanced statistical model, we go over, principles of epidemiological research, research question, etc., to then really have data answer some of these hypotheses that you may generate. And within the advanced statistical modeling, you will also be looking at advanced regressions, non-independent data, repeated measurements, survival analysis, multinomial data, and so Poisson regressions counts. Part of the unbalanced data is dealt when we're dealing with mixed effects models. And so that puts you in some of what are the most used techniques for count, categorical, and numerical data.
Okay, thank you, Alberto. When we designed this program a few years ago, we always had a vision that there would be three pieces to the program. You've been exposed to the first two. The third piece of this program, the master's program, so this will be a master's degree in data science and analytics. So the master's, the third piece, consists of two different components. The first component is what we call residency course. So within that residency course, it's approximately 65-35% split between developing professional capabilities. For example, seminars on, this would consist of seminars on various professional developments, such as leadership, organizational skills, various project management skills. The remaining 35% would consist of specialized topics in data science. Data science is a very fluid discipline. It changes very rapidly. So we have space in the residency course to move with the fluidity of data science. The second piece would be an internship program. So once you complete the internship, then the student has a master's degree in data science and analytics. Anything else to add to that, Usman?
No, I think that was great. Let's look at some of the frequently asked questions. And the big one there is what background do you need to get into the program? So here you require a bachelor's degree with a 3.0 GPA, and we're looking for some courses that you will need to succeed in the program, specifically one course in computer programming, one course in statistics, and one course in either calculus or linear algebra. And if you're an international student, then you also have to demonstrate English language proficiency. Here's some information about the tuition. It's a course-based program right now. So it's $3,060 per course, a little bit more for international students. And then there's also some general fees that you'll be paying. There's two pathways. There's a full-time pathway, which you can, if you join, you'll complete the diploma in 8 months, or once the master's approved, it'll take a full year or 12 months to complete the master's in data science and analytics. And there is also a part-time option where it'll depend on how many courses you take. All right. Here's so currently we are accepting applications for the fall 20 cohort with the application deadline of May 15th. I mean, most of this information is also on the website, so I'm not going to spend too much time about this. But if you have any specific questions, we can use the time later to answer them. Okay, so at this point, I'll invite my colleague Gloria to invite our alumni, who will give you some more insight into their experiences.
Great, thank you so much. Faculty from all of our faculties who shared a little bit more as to what the courses entail and really give a personal perspective. So thank you again for that. Well, that does set us up very nicely to talk to some of our recent graduates of the program. We find that a lot of prospective students ask us, what is that student experience really like? What can a student expect? And ultimately, what kind of jobs are available after graduation? Well, joining us are our three graduates of the program, Jeremy Hansen, Mitchell Rath, and Tim Cruz. I'm just going to give you a quick little bio on each of them before we start our Q&A session. Jeremy Hansen's just completed the program this month, and currently he's a director of a hardware development team in Calgary. He took the business analytics specialization with experts from the Haskayne School of Business. Jeremy says this program has allowed him to better leverage the value of his company's data to better inform decision-making. And Mitchell Rath is also a recent graduate, but he took the health data science and biostatistics specialization. Mitchell is currently working with a research team in the Department of Pediatrics at the Cummings School of Medicine. Mitchell says the health specialization was a great crash course in all aspects of Alberta's health landscape. He says he gained skills that can be applied to a wide variety of fields within the healthcare and biotechnology industries. And finally, I'd like to introduce Tim Cruz. Tim was in one of our very first cohorts of the program, and he's leveraged his education to make the most of new opportunities in Calgary's tech economy. Tim was like many of you who are joining us today. He entered into the program right after completing his Bachelor of Commerce from the Haskayne School of Business, and Tim took the data science specialization. Okay, I'm going to start off with Jeremy. Jeremy, my first question for you this afternoon is, why did you decide to take the program? And tell us a little bit about what the learning environment was like.
Thank you, Gloria. So when I first set out looking for additional knowledge in this space, it was on the back of trying to advance finding ways to improve student outcomes, something my company's passionate about. And while investigating this space, I found that the number of factors and the complexity of the data required to improve kind of in a meaningful way student outcomes was going to take more than the skills I had developed in my undergraduate engineering program. So I did some research and I found this program, and I can tell you that without a doubt, the material I learned here has already been put into practice today. And that's basically how I started. As per the learning environment, I found that the learning environment was very, very supportive from an instructor point of view. The instructors were all very open to answering questions both in class and over email, in evenings and weekends as we all kind of worked at the accelerated timelines. Additionally, the cohort itself, right? The people you meet and the people who are all in this sprint together with you. You develop some really positive relationships there. There's a number of group activities that you're involved in terms of like project work and things like that. And so, overall, a very positive learning environment and friends that I'll make and keep going forward.
Well, that sounds great. One of the questions all students ask, okay, that's the really, really great part of it, but what does that day-to-day, you've been in the program for a couple of months, what's the workload, and realistically, can you give us a little peek inside that experience?
So Yeah, the workload, I can tell you, this is real work that you will get as much in as you or out as you put in. I was spending between the class time, which is 3 hours approximately a night for 4 nights a week, so that's 12 hours. On the weekends, I was doing about evenings and weekends about 20 hours a week. It can be quite a lot of work, but it's also very rewarding work, because what you find is you're thinking about problems differently, and you have access to tools and skills that you can see in everyday life are now becoming more and more in demand.
I see a question here about working full time and doing this. How did you manage that, Jeremy? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I can tell you that was super challenging. This is not on my back exclusively. I can tell you my family was super supportive, but that is a real challenge. And one thing that I would note, if I was in a different position where I was just coming out, for example, of undergrad, I would recommend taking this course now rather than after you've got a full-time job. There were times when I was exhausted. There were times when, well, and I say times, but it was like consistently, just a lot of work and a lot to take in. And it is no easy feat. I can't put it any other way, but it is possible.
Well, that's great. And thank you for that really authentic perspective on what it was like for you. Mitchell, I'm going to switch gears and talk to you for a moment. What made the program stand out for you?
Hi. So I decided to go with this program. I had an undergraduate in genetic biology and statistics. And so I was shopping around for graduate courses, graduate master's degrees, all that kind of stuff. And I came across this program. And really what stood out to me was the integration of statistics and computer science into data science. So going into this program, I didn't have a great idea exactly what data science was. But seeing the health portion of it, I could kind of continue on with my genetic interests while learning some of those big data techniques that are needed for if you want to work in genetics, if you want to work in anything like precision health. So that was really what jumped out to me with this course or with this program.
How did this fit into some of your long-term career goals, and are you working your way towards that?
Yeah, so my career goals were kind of towards human biology, human genetics, working with big data sets like the Human Genome Project has an enormous amount of data. And so you do have to learn some of these programming skills, the data science skills, in order to be really in a research field like the ones that I was interested in. I was also hearing a lot about the data science landscape in Canada, lots of jobs coming up. So that was really something that I was interested in pursuing because it's a growing field. Like precision health is kind of on the hot button right now. So that was something I wanted to get in early.
Paige is asking a question here, and she just asked, I thought while you're talking, Mitchell, what aspects of the program were most enjoyable?
I really loved the health data science specialization. We were actually fortunate enough to be in the Center for Health Informatics at the Foothills Hospital. And so it was a really collaborative learning environment. So we were able to talk to our professors really quite regularly. I know Zara was pretty much always in her office because she's always working. And she was always happy to answer questions. So we were really, really fortunate to be in an environment that's actually applying health data science to real research.
That would make a big difference. And again, the flip side to that, how about some aspects that were most challenging?
Well, there's definitely some challenges. It's a very challenging program. You're constantly learning new skills, and your brain is flip-flopping between so many different techniques, different concepts. So adapting to all of those things is very challenging. Time management as well is a challenge. It's a very dense diploma and certificate. And so you're learning a lot all the time. I know for myself, I was probably putting 30 hours in of homework a week, and then on top of the 12 hours, and I was also working full time. So it was definitely a sprint, but it was very rewarding nonetheless. I'm glad that I learned everything that I did. I don't think there's anything I could give up learning.
Wow. Great, thank you. We will get back as we wrap up after chatting with Tim, maybe just for some final words of wisdom. So just keep that in mind, and we'll tuck that one away while we go and now transition and have a quick conversation with Tim. Hey, Tim.
Hey, Gloria, how are you?
I'm great. How about you?
Good, thanks.
Good. I know you were one of the first graduates in our program, and there were some things that you really did particularly like about what you learned. Can you share that with us this afternoon?
Yeah, absolutely. So to keep it brief, one of the interesting things, as Jim alluded to, about the field of data science is that it's still a fairly young field. So there's a huge appetite for it, especially in Calgary. But one of the challenges about it is that the definition of data science can be a little bit squishy and very fluid, as Jim said. So you go out into job opportunities and job interviews into the market, and what you realize is that data science, as defined in the corporate setting, can be anywhere from like business analytics to kind of a DevOps engineer. The really beneficial part of this program was that it really touches on all of the key components of what it is to be a data scientist, and data science is really a field that allows folks to kind of choose your own adventure as you would. So, for example, it gives you exposure to data visualization or database architecture or statistical learning, machine learning, and then everyone kind of gets a little bit of a sample, and then they can choose their specialization and choose an appropriate job opportunity for them coming out of the program.
One of the key questions we get from prospective students is, what are the job opportunities as a data scientist? And did you get a job right after you graduated, Tim?
Yeah, so I was pretty fortunate. So coming out of the program, I had a few different opportunities because I was kind of shopping around to try and figure out all very different opportunities. So coming out, I had a chance to work as a data scientist at one of the large airline companies here in town. Also had a chance to an offer to go work at one of the big four consulting firms, particularly in data science and risk assurance consulting. And then the path that I ended up choosing, funnily enough, was I went the startup route myself. So I really see massive opportunity in Calgary's new digital and innovation economy here. There really is a massive opportunity for Calgary outside of the oil and gas sector, and that's what really excited me. So yeah, I landed myself a job working with a few fantastic kind of startups and in that ecosystem, and I was lucky enough to actually land a job in precision health and kind of the data science and machine learning intersection of healthcare.
Oh, really neat.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think we've got a variety of people joining us today, and there are some people who've just graduated, just like where you were.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this program a good choice now for students just coming out of university, from your perspective?
Yeah, so I mean, it all comes down to kind of appetite and what kind of candidates are coming out as quote unquote attractive. As Jeremy mentioned, like this is super beneficial to do, like particularly out of undergrad. So for me personally, I came from I completed my undergrad in finance, and what I thought kind of finance was going to be was a lot of technical analysis, quantitative trading, et cetera, but what it ended up being, and you know, this is still very valuable, don't get me wrong, but more so from the perspective of corporate financial management, looking at balance sheets, doing fundamental analysis. For me, finance is a really data-rich environment, and it was sort of peculiar to me that we weren't really getting exposure to a lot of the kind of modern tools that a lot of, you know, for example, that the big banks in New York are using, where they're dealing with financial markets and financial data in algorithmic, quantitative, and data-driven ways. And those are the skills that are absolutely on the upswing right now, and that's what the appetite is for in the job market. It is for people with computer literacy, statistical literacy, and most importantly, your ability to solve critical problems and apply critical thinking skills in a data-driven environment.
That sounds great. Thank you. Now, I did sort of give you a little bit of a pre-warning. Any last words of wisdom for students? Anything else that I might not have asked you, but you go, wow, that would have really been helpful as I was making a decision about whether this program was right for me? Jeremy, why don't we start with you? Are you comfortable with that? We'll start with you, and then we'll go to Mitchell, and then to Tim.
I think that with respect to things to think about when making a decision of the program, or about engaging in the program, is just whether you're interested in kind of being at the forefront, or as this field continues to grow and develop. And a piece of advice I would suggest is, you know, if you do decide to move forward with the program, one thing that can really jumpstart you would be to spend some of those, you know, last weeks in the summertime just brushing up on you know, coding practices, best practices, and some logic flow, as well as any you know, material from your probability class that you would have taken, because that'll really set you off on the right foot getting in, and after that, it's all achievable.
Thank you. Great perspective. Mitchell?
Yeah, so some advice that maybe I would have liked to know beforehand was, like Jeremy mentioned, brush up on your basic statistics, some of your programming skills. Also, just get ready and prepare yourself to work, because it is a lot of commitment. Your weekends are probably going to be pretty busy. So kind of get in the mindset of being in a graduate program, because this is a graduate program. It is a lot of work, and also work on some skills with like communication. There's a lot of group work in both the certificate and the diploma. Brush up on some of your previous projects if there's anything you kind of want to explore further. That would kind of be the advice that I would have liked to know.
A great way to spend a few months in the summer, or while we're doing some other things this year. Thanks, Mitchell. Tim, I will give you the last word on some advice.
Yeah, sure. So I'll take a bit of a different approach here and build off of something that Mitchell said, which is the communication aspect. My number one piece of advice is to come out of the gates hot on the networking side. So for a variety of reasons, as Jeremy and Mitchell alluded to, like, you actually do have an opportunity to build some lasting friendships and professional relationships in the program. So that's something that gets you kind of 90% of the way there, in my opinion. The other thing is that going through the program alone, I would argue, is not, I don't want to say impossible, but it's substantially more challenging to lift the effort solely by yourself. So I would encourage people to get to know folks in your cohort and get to know folks in the industry as well. And I found that everyone has been super receptive in terms of giving you advice and giving you guidance on, you know, what people are looking for, what certain challenges are, what a lot of the common problems in industry are. And then the final thing that I would say is there are tons of tools now that we're getting used to in the COVID world for encouraging digital communication. So what we actually did in my cohort was we set up a Slack workspace so that we could instant message each other and kind of stay connected in the off hours. And that really went a long way for us.
Great, thank you. I do see that we have a question from Elena, and Elena was asking about deliverables for the program. Tests, assignments, projects. Alum, maybe you can help us get a sense as to maybe what the rhythm of that was like, the number, and just again, perhaps quantity and some expectations there. And if you feel more comfortable, we can also ask our program directors that too.
Well, so I don't mind taking it on behalf of sort of the certificate and on the business specialization, but generally there's assignments, programming assignments, and assignments that involve programming do primarily for a lot of the deliverables into the certificate program. There's also kind of a research activity that you present to the class on as a group. For both or almost all courses seem to had a component like that, where you would do a larger scale project similar to what your assignments were, but in some cases more exploratory. On the business analytics specialization, there were a few kind of formal exam type sessions that were, again, very much based on what you had done on the assignment. So it was all very stuff you could prepare for quite thoroughly. And to that end, and I didn't mention it before, all of the material through all the courses that I took through my business specialization was all available online as well. So even if the kind of the note-taking aspect of this is really convenient, where you can go back and review and prepare quite easily. But I think it's all kind of assignment driven and a few presentations and a few tests.
Okay. We also had another question here, and maybe Jeremy for you, or maybe Mitchell. Can you thrive in the business analytics program coming from a science background with no previous training?
I don't mind taking it only because it was on the business one. I apologize for speaking so much. What I would say is that the concepts that you learn and the way that you think about the problems, as you learn about how to or what you can do with the data and the tools available to you, those are the critical aspects that I would say are independent of whether you already have a business background. You learn about ways that you could apply the data science in business analytics that I didn't have, despite being sort of in a senior leadership position for a while. So I would say you can definitely thrive if this is your first foray into the business side. It's actually, you'll come out of the program better off because you'll have additional business background.
Excellent. Mitchell, thank you.
Yeah, I would just add to that, just kind of on the health side, we did have quite a few students who didn't have a health background in our program, and that didn't seem to hinder them at all. There was, again, it is a focus on the techniques and the skills that you're learning, and less so on specific knowledge. There are courses, like our big data and health course did go quite into domain knowledge specific to health. But going in, if you have an undergraduate degree in business, there was someone with an MBA in our health program, and they were able to keep up. So it's definitely not necessarily a requirement to be in the domain that you want to go in for the specialization.
It really does highlight and focus in on the transferable skills that you gain as an undergraduate student, whether in science or in business and other things, right? And the importance of being open to learning and continual learning and leveraging all of that background that you get in your undergraduate. That's great. One thing that didn't come through that perhaps our program directors may also want to talk about are the networking opportunities. There are opportunities for our students to connect not only with each other, but with industry. And I know that Jim and Usman also host Data Science Fridays, and you bring in industry experts. I'd love for you to share a little bit about that, because that is also another really important component of our programs and what makes us different.
So this, excuse me, thank you, Gloria. So this past year was the second running of the data science program, and Usman and I were really interested in bringing people who are working in the data science space, introducing these individuals to the students in our program, and really provide a on-the-ground orientation as to what they're doing in the data science field. So this culminated in Data Science Fridays, which ran approximately once a month, where somebody from working in the data science space, or maybe a few different people working in different data science entities, would visit the campus and give a relatively casual talk about what they're doing. It was an opportunity for the students in the program to network. And at the end of the term, the Data Science Fridays culminated in a showcase event where student projects were presented and people from industry were invited to attend.
Alumni, how valuable was that for you to get face-to-face in front of some industry? Did that, how did that help your learning experience?
I definitely appreciate the ability to be in the situation where you're sort of showcasing, one, preparing for and showcasing the material that you literally just complete. And I did definitely get the opportunity to get some contacts, although I haven't leveraged them at this point as I continue my current role. But I know that other individuals even on my project team made some contacts that I know they've been in communication with.
Tim, I see you nodding as well. How were you able to make connections with the networks that you might have connected with?
Yeah, so I actually kind of had like an interesting, so Data Science Fridays wasn't actually a thing in my first, in the cohort that I went through, but Jim and Usman were gracious enough to give me an opportunity to speak at one. And that was really, I think that was really interesting, because I think the main value proposition of networking is really getting that face time and actually understanding what problems are being solved in the real world. That's the huge thing. This has been alluded to before, but you know, the program really focuses on building up those technical chops, you know, understanding techniques, understanding, you know, how are you going to, you know, theoretically, how could you apply these tools and techniques to a wide array of problems. But having the opportunity to actually speak with folks in industry is super valuable, because then you know, A, like what the common problems are, but B, the best practices and common methodologies about actually going to solve those problems. I think one of the kind of key takeaways for me, having, you know, kind of working as a data scientist over the past year, is that your value isn't necessarily derived from the tools that you bring. It's all completely derived from your ability to solve data-driven problems, if that makes sense. So one of my biggest lessons over the last year is that, you know, great, you can build really big and really sexy AI and machine learning models, but those products or those models that you build are probably going to be useless or not that valuable if you don't actually match that product to a problem that exists in the real world.
Great, thank you. We have Paige asking us probably our last question before we get close to 1 o'clock. So Paige is asking, what type of skills or strengths are best for being a good data scientist? What type of personality or person would thrive in this type of environment? Alum, which one wants to take that?
Oh, sorry. Mitchell, you can go ahead.
Sure. Specifically in the health field, the strengths that we really tried to develop in the course were, or in the program, were presentation skills, communication skills. So especially in Zara's course, being able to tell a story and to make some of those very high level concepts much more understandable for a wider audience. That was definitely focused on, and a great skill to have as a data scientist. I think that there's a lot of variety of personality types that could thrive in the data science field. I think the ones that would thrive the best would be those collaborative people, because you do have to lean on other people who have much more specific skill sets. So if you're able to have that collaboration as kind of part of your mantra as a data scientist, that would definitely be really important. But I know that there are a lot of people who are also really a jack of all trades in the data science field. So it's something that you can find your niche in.
That's great. Tim?
Yeah, so to kind of echo what Mitchell said, is that I found like one of the most successful qualities for me, because as I kind of mentioned before, data science is this, like, it's this broad squishy field that covers anything from business analytics to DevOps. I think one really successful or one quality that really kind of helps to drive success is being able to be comfortable with all of those different parties along the value chain. So you have to understand, you know, how the folks in your business analytics unit speak, and understand the lingo, understand the idea of business cases, value propositions, what's the job to be done, the problem to be solved. And then on the other end, you have to be comfortable with your hardcore engineering team. So you've gone and you've built this model, it solves a problem, you're saving money, you're increasing revenue, whatever. But then you actually have to go and deploy this product, which you're going to be interfacing really, really closely with your kind of DevOps and deployment team. And so you have to also coincidentally or concurrently understand the language that the folks on the other end are. So, you know, how are we going to deploy this? Are we going to use a serverless function? What's the architecture, et cetera, et cetera? So you have to be comfortable with all of those kind of different domains across the value chain.
Great, thank you. I do see that we have one last question, as we are just a couple minutes before 1, and I'm not sure who can take it. And if we don't have the right answer, Dylan, I promise that we will get back to you, or if you just send an email to datascience@ucalgary.ca, we can find out more information. Dylan is asking about entry-level salaries for data scientists and analysts after this program. Not sure if anyone here has that answer or can give us a real quick overview, and if not, we can certainly go and get some information and provide you the right response.
Yeah, so I can give my perspective. Sorry, and I apologize for talking so much.
Okay, thanks.
But no, this is kind of more from my business school days than it is the data science days, to be honest. But so what I do have a lot of transparency into is what the base level, like, kind of consulting salary are. So if you're looking at any of the big four consulting firms, which are PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte, KPMG, and Ernst & Young, no matter what, as a first-year consultant, no matter what practice you work in, base salary is 60 across the board across Canada. So 60K Canadian. So obviously you can kind of adjust that with your cost of living, depending on if you're in Calgary or Toronto or Vancouver, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, so 60K is what you can expect from one of the big four consultancies.
Good. Thank you for that insight. Well, everyone, we are getting very close to 1 o'clock, and I would really like to thank everyone who's participated today. Thank you for answering questions. Thank you for spending your time with us, and alum for sharing your very valuable experiences. We can't have a program if it isn't and without you, so thank you. And to our faculty who teach, and thank you for taking time as well, and others who also do the back end of this and getting us all organized and helping us with all the technology. Thank you to everyone. Again, if you have any questions, you can email us, and we'd be absolutely happy to assist you and answer any of your questions. So thanks again. Have a great afternoon and all the best in your future endeavors. Thank you.